Sending data to AQS. So in general, people send data to AQS monthly, but you can send data to AQS even one row at a time or 6 months at a time if you want. But the data has to be reviewed level 1 and level 2 check. So let's go to data review and we select the site and let's look at January. And we can see that there were 744 hours in January, but only 731 records, but they have had level 1 check and level 2 check. So let's look at the data, and we can see that the data start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on January 1st. So that's why there weren't a whole 744 records. But that looks good. Let's go back to now we've make sure, first of all, that the data, if we're going to send it to AQS, it's all had level 1 and level 2 check done. This is a selection for the month, but Heidi has reviewed all of this data and deemed it appropriate to send to AQS. I can see she's even nulled out some data here because of the rose color in the graph. So if we wanted to send all of this data to AQS, this is what we would do. So click on AQS submission here, and now you could see there's a list of the previous AQS submissions that she's made. So let's click add to send a new set of data to AQS. And what we're looking at here is just the parameter data, not her QC data. So this is the correct site. This is the parameter. And if we want to send a month of data, we can scroll all the way back here and we select the whole month. And remember, the data didn't start until 1300 in the afternoon. So the easiest way to handle that, if we clicked apply here now, it would say, nope, sorry, there weren't any records gathered at midnight on the 1st of January. So we need to put in 1300 here, and we need to specify. You can either type into these boxes or you can use the calendar. It's kind of easier just to type into them sometimes. So I'm going to say from January 1st at 1300 to the 31st at 2300. And let's review the data. Now, before I go on, let me show you here, if you were sending data to AQS that updates data, like it changes the value that AQS already has, you could click this. Or if you've sent data to AQS and you want to delete it, you'd click this. But normally you're just sending new data to AQS. And you can also choose whether to send a flat file or XML. I think reading the flat files is easier. So let's click Review the Data, which you have to do first. Just for people who haven't set this up, Heidi has set this up over here, but this is vital that the AQS user is specified, that the AQS screening group name is exactly how it shows when you log in to AQS, and the CDX user is either your CDX, or if you want to use the default crest, you can use that. But this has to be set up first. Heidi has done this. So let's click here, Review Data. And here we see everything green, which means it's suitable for AQS, which means that it has a value or a null code for every hour, and every hour has had level 1 check and level 2 check done. If you're regulatory, these are going to be different people. In this case, this is informational data, and she has completed both of these checks. So at this point, you would generate the file. You click here, and now here you click Submit to EPA. And if you look at previous, once you send it to AQS, you notice that this here will update, and you'll be able to see, you could see the first few ones that we tried failed, but here you could see that some of these were successful. So you could click on the AQS load report, which gives you the information in those 4 emails that the AQS user gets, or you could also click details here. So if we click just here on this one, details, it tells you all those things that you get in those emails. This was a send of 3 rows. None of them failed to stage. None of them had load errors. They were processed by StatCR. And the number of records skipped by post 0, number of transactions processed by post 3. So we successfully sent 3 records to AQS. So I'm just going to go back and select fewer data values and send those to AQS. So let's just send 3 of her values to AQS. So just to show you fully how we do it, we're going to say, let's say from 1300 on the first to 1600 on the first. Let's send 3 records to AQS. So I click Review Data, and these are 4 that have had level 1 and level 2 check done. I'm going to click here, Generate File, and here she has given me permission to send just a few records to AQS. So just to show you what happens, I'm going to click Submit to EPA, and right away it says it's processing, which is really good. That means that the credentials work, the screening group name was correct. And here we can click Get Status. And it takes a while. And it says it's updated, but doesn't say too much. Note here, while we're waiting, that if you want to see the values that were actually sent, the actual records that were sent to AQS, you could click here and it will show you the AQS file. Let's click Get Status again, and it's still processing. Eventually, it will show completed and successful. Let's click it one more time. Status again. Completed! Okay, let's click on details. Woohoo!
Transaction sent to post 4. Woohoo!